Here we are with the one and only Walt Power at the Grand Ho Tram at United World Wrestling Asian Championships, a pre-qualifier for the Olympics. Walt, how do you do it? How do you keep bringing these amazing live sports events here at the Grand Ho Tram?
Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, this is a labor of love. I've been grappling myself for over 20 years, and to be able to work with World Wrestling, Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism in Vietnam, and some of the local organizers, again, it's a labor of love. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those watching, you know, we haven't had a lot of big events here in Vietnam at this level. Like, what's at stake here for these wrestlers?
Well, certainly this is a qualifier or pre-qualifier for the Olympics for a lot of these countries. So everything's at stake. When you appreciate the amount of effort, the training, the blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak, that these athletes go through, the stakes could not be higher for these people.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of nations that we're not used to seeing here in Vietnam. Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, India, even Mongolia. What does that mean for grappling and wrestling as far as Vietnam's influence on the international scene?
Well, yeah, I understand there's over 30 countries that are represented that have sent teams here to this competition. And the way I like to put it is that there's nothing more democratic than grappling. When you're on the mat and you're competing, and yes, the stakes are very high, but nobody cares what flag is on your back. It's you against your opponent, and once the competition is over, you're the best of friends and want to continue training together. So that's the way I look at it. Ultimate democracy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was quite surprised, when Josh told me about this a few weeks ago. I was like, man, this is what an incredible opportunity for Vietnam to really be on the map and have an international influence. What can we expect here at the Grand Ho Tram in the future for wrestling events on the world scene this year and years following?
Well, as I mentioned, this is a labor of love for me, but it's part of our overall business strategy. We're located 2.5 hours from Ho Chi Minh City. It's a bit of a drive for people to come here, so we have to give our guests, our customers, a reason to make that drive. So we're an event-driven property, and part of it is things like concerts, beauty pageants, but a big part of it also is combat sports. We offer MMA events, kickboxing, boxing, and of course wrestling here. So it's part of a continuing strategy. And as well as this has gone so far, and I couldn't be more pleased, we're going to continue to support as long as World Wrestling will allow us to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the events organizers in Saigon, in all the martial arts sports? What can they do to help in your effort in bringing Vietnam to the international scene and here to Grand Ho Tram?
Look, the one thing I would suggest, if they have an idea and it sounds doable, contact me. Okay. Because I see myself almost as a center point for a lot of different options, a lot of possibilities, whether it's grappling, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's MMA, and a lot of times these sports operate in isolation.
Yes.
And when you work together, you have that economies of scale that you can put something in big on like this. And so I'm more than happy, and it's my honor, quite frankly, to be involved and to contribute to making these events bigger and bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you be open to some kind of grappling event? Like Vietnamese grapplers, we could get some international grapplers in combination with an event like this here at the Grand Ho Tram to bring these communities together.
Yeah, there's a couple of objectives there. First and foremost, I want to improve grappling and give more opportunities for Vietnamese wrestlers, grapplers, MMA fighters, kickboxers, boxers, et cetera. And again, they, as you know, Zach, you're involved in these sports. They operate in isolation, in some in Hanoi, some down south. But I think we can put things together. And it works for us because I'm trying to find events to hold at Ho Tram. There's a lot of on social media, MMA in Vietnam, but I want to also include wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and other sports as well.
Okay, well, amazing how you bring all these things together, and you're passionate about bringing these communities together in an effort to bring all of these sports up here in Vietnam. What are some ideas that you have?
Well, one thing I want to emphasize is the support that we get from both the provincial and the national governments. I've been working in Vietnam, living here for 5 years. I consider this my home, and I've observed that that decision making and a lot of initiatives happen at the provincial level. So the provincial leadership, they know what's happening in their communities. They have the authority and the responsibility to put on these events. And so when I'm able to develop relationships with the provincial government as well as in Hanoi, it leads to a lot of cooperation and a lot of opportunities and a lot of creative ideas.
It's fantastic. We've got a lot of initiatives, from people, events organizers in Hanoi and Saigon and things like that. Of course, it's an honor to work with Johnny, and I myself, as you know, have a small promotion, Saigon Super Fights, that we're trying to kind of bring to the national scene and internationally. We recently had our first international event this past weekend. What is your advice to me on how we can kind of bring that up and contribute to the events and efforts that you're doing here?
Yeah, I mean, my first comment would be there's no bad idea. I mean, if you have an idea, anyone in this community has an idea, throw it out there, whether it's social media or talking directly to us.